anyone else coming. So Jen, you've got us live. So
She does.
Let's call this meeting to order. I'd like to call the Finance Committee meeting of March 24th, 2021 to order with the adoption of the agenda. Jackie, could you move that?
Yeah,
so moved. I will adopt that or second that, and then the adoption of the minutes of the February 3rd Finance Committee meeting. So you move that, Jackie's moving that, Gary will second it, and
I'm going to just share my screen.
Okay,
Sorry.
perfect.
There you go. Can you see my screen with the agenda? Yeah.
Yep, good. Okay. And so then we are going to move down to any business arising from those minutes, Jackie?
Nope.
Okay, so we're going to move down to new business grant and aid applications. So you've got the list in front of us, Tanya.
I do, and what I'll do is, like I said, I'll share the other one so that it's a little bit bigger and easier to see, hopefully. We're going to try it anyways, and we'll see how it goes. So this is that a little bit easier to read?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
That's good.
I kind of made it as big as I could within my Excel.
And so we're not seeing dollar volumes here. I've got the other page where the grant and aid application is open. And so they are asking for, let me scroll down. Can you just tell me without me having to scroll
so
down?
the first, I can say, sorry, Gary, we might as well start at the top.
Yep.
The association.
Oh, there we go. The request amount. Okay.
Parents de l'école des, I can't say all that. Sorry, it's French. My French is horrible. $725 they're asking for, and that's for kitchen rentals for a fundraiser.
So that's basically an in-kind donation. So I'm supportive of that. Jackie, how do you feel?
For sure, totally.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to the next one, the environmental education. This is for actually kids to learn about environmental education, is it not?
It is, and this is a cash donation, so they're asking for $750 in cash that they can then use for their programming.
Okay.
Seems reasonable.
Yep, I'm comfortable with that as well.
Okay.
CSIS, they're asking for $5,000. Our limit is $2,000. It
is, and this is a cash request as well for the same thing. They'll use it to put it towards invasive species education.
They asked for that last year. Is it a pretty typical request?
I think it is. Just a minute, I can have a look at last year's and see. You know what? I don't actually know if they did ask for anything last year.
Do we don't have a lot, if I remember correctly, we don't have a lot of these applications that are recurring cash ones. We have a lot of grant and aid.
Yeah. There's more cash ones this year than I normally see. Usually we just see a few of them. Usually the community band is cash, and usually CSIS is cash, but the rest of them are usually all credit. And so, there's a couple new credit ones. One is from Wild Site, formerly North Columbia Environmental Society, and the other one would be from CB. Those are the two new ones that are cash. But yes, you're correct. All the other ones are credit, which means that the expense account gets hit, the budget line gets hit with the cost of the use of the facilities, and then the Lori's department gets the revenue from it.
Gotcha.
So CSIS does a lot of good work in our community. I know they get lots of funding elsewhere, but they seem to have 2 or 3 staff members and are always out and about and actually physically doing things. So I'm comfortable in the max at $2,000. Jackie, any input?
Yeah, sounds good. No, that seems good.
Okay.
Christmas dinner, again, Parks and Rec can't commit to the staffing for them, but definitely they're asking the table linens we could commit to, but I think if we give them the $500 credit and if staff are able to do it, similar to what they did last year, which if it wasn't for the staff being able to do it last year, there wouldn't have been a Christmas dinner. So I'm comfortable in that credit.
Same.
Okay.
I think I'm a little bit confused on the table linens. Like from
So what they did in the past, when they didn't use the city facility, they would ask for, let's say when they use the Catholic Church, they would ask for rental of the table linens for when they had a sit-down dinner. Now, I'm not sure that that's going to be able to happen this year or not, and maybe that's why they're including that, Lori.
Okay. So I think just some wording around COVID and just making them aware that they will have to just adhere to the public health orders at that time in terms of gathering and events.
Yeah.
Yep, I think that's reasonable.
Prudent way of doing it, yes.
Am I talking loud?
No.
I feel really loud in this headset today. The arrangement that we had last year worked out really well, and we would be able to accommodate that probably this year. The janitors were able to administer that, so the janitorial staff let them into the building and then closed up the building after their event. So if we're in the same situation this winter, we could probably help them out in that regard.
Okay.
And I think that's all that we can expect at this point in time. We have no idea what's going to happen as we move forward. And if we don't have the staffing to facilitate something in our facility, we just can't do it. Simple. And it comes down to being practical. And we've talked about this for years, Lori. You know, how do we pay staff for that time period? And that's money out of our pocket, which would double or triple this amount of money if even if we had a staff member just to sit there. So I think you've nailed it. If they're going to do the same thing that they did last year, absolutely. If they're going to go elsewhere and need table linens, then maybe we can provide that within this amount they're asking.
Okay.
Sounds good. Next one is community connections. Lori, did you want to speak to this one a bit maybe, or?
Sure. So typically they receive use of the facility for their summer camps, the MP rooms. This year, because we have IHA in one of the MP rooms, has dedicated space. And then in conversations with IHA, we've also been discussing other options for community-wide immunization, which there is a possibility that they may choose to go that route as we move more into the vaccination phases. And if that is the case, they will require all 3 MP rooms, which I have committed to them already. So the challenge will be to commit to community connections, knowing we have all this going on in the background. We've also been more active in running after school programs and camps, spring camps, and we're also moving forward with running some summer camps because there is a huge need in the community right now for working parents to have full care for their kids in the form of camps when school's not in session. So we've actually lined up with a youth programmer who's been delivering the majority of our programs, and they've been quite successful and receptive in the community. So we like to move forward with our own summer camps this summer. And I have more control on how we need to juggle the space with our own camps. So for that reason, I don't feel that we're able to accommodate Community Connections request for use of the MP space. However, you know, they've got some of their request involves use of the kitchen for their Soupalicious program, which we can totally accommodate. We may or may not be able to accommodate use of the MP rooms depending on the situation with vaccines in the next 4 to 6 months, because the second dose will have to be administered after a 4-month period. So depending on when people get vaccinated, this could take us into September or October. Right. So I think we just have to be aware of that. The leisure guide advertisements aren't an issue. Field use is not an issue. So we can help them out with some of their requests, but not in terms of the multi-purpose rooms.
So Lori, what do you feel, should we be contributing credit? Do we give them an amount, or do you need to talk to them, or how do you feel that we should work this as to what they're asking?
Well, Tanya's been going back and forth with them a bit just to get clarity on their request, because they haven't really talked to anyone at Parks and Rec about what they're planning to do this summer.
Mhm.
And I think everyone's just trying to figure out what's happening with the public health orders and how many kids can you get into a camp and how many instructors you need. So I think everyone's just a little bit unorganized this year, which is normal. I think that giving them a max of 2,000 would be appropriate. I know that when Tanya and I did the numbers, it worked out to $1,000, but we really, I don't know what their field use is, and I don't want to guess. So I think just giving them $2,000 would be appropriate.
Okay.
And then we would just work with them to determine what their need was. And if they didn't fully utilize the $2,000, it just goes back in the pot.
Yeah, good. Jackie, are you okay with that?
Totally.
Okay, let's do that then. Thank you.
Okay.
Revelstoke After School Society. So they're looking for bus tickets for the kids to be able to do activities after school.
Yeah.
Getting...
And last year we actually physically gave them bus tickets because the city's the one that sells it. So we just did the same thing we did. It was basically a credit in the sense that we gave them bus tickets that obviously they used. I don't think it's the full amount that they need, but last year we just gave them as many child bus tickets as we could, up to the $2,000 maximum. I think it comes out to like $1,984, but we might as well just, so I've left it at the 2,000 they've asked for, because we'll just, we'll give them the maximum amount that we can, if you're okay with that.
Yeah, I am. Jackie?
Yep.
Okay, carry on. Revelstoke Bear Aware, good society. We see that they're only asking for $267, and that's in credit with the banner and the leisure guide. So I'm supportive of that.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. Child Care Society. This is for leisure guide advertising, and so childcare. We have a limited amount of childcare, so giving them free advertising is going to be a system that's really valuable to them. So I'm supportive of that. Jackie?
Absolutely.
Okay. Community band. So fill us in a little bit. They've been asking for cash the last few years. And so this is for virtual music lessons and social distance music recordings. So
and we have given them, let's see, what are they? They're here. So yeah, so last year they asked for 1,500. We actually, 2 years ago they asked for 1,500. We actually gave them the full 1,500. Last year they asked for 1,000, and we did give them the full. You guys gave them the full 1,000. They have asked every year, so they usually do get some money. Not always everything they've asked for. I believe last year was because we didn't have as many to fulfill. Right. Yeah, so it's kind of seems like we've been giving them $1,000 to $1,500 every year. So okay.
I'm supportive of that.
Yep, probably why they've reduced their ask down to 1,000, because that's what we were giving them.
Yeah. Okay, let's do that.
Okay.
Hospice Society, so the McPherson Room, AV equipment. I'm seeing the Hospice Society being a valid use in the community, definitely for those who are at end of life and their support through the system. So that's a small amount, and I'm supportive of that.
I am too. I think the one thing we need to be cognizant of is the fact that depending on what's going on and how many numbers, they may need to move into a bigger room. They've asked for the rental of the McPherson room, so not knowing exactly, how many people are going to be there, I'm wondering if we should maybe, Lori, do you think it's wise to give them a little bit more, or just leave them at the 380 they've asked for and then hope it's sufficient?
Let's just bump it up.
Okay.
It's not much.
No, so maybe round it up to like 400 just to be safe.
Sure. Yeah.
Is that okay, Gary and Jackie?
Yep. Absolutely.
Okay. Because we have the same issue with a couple of the other ones too.
Okay. Local food initiatives, rental of the kitchen, McPherson room, and advertising. And so they do their Garden Guru stuff. Do they do that in our facility, Lori?
They just use the facility for meetings.
Okay.
So it would depend on their numbers. If they're more than 15 people meeting, we may need to bump them into an MP room.
Okay.
So we can just round that one up to maybe, Tanya.
Okay. How much more do you think?
Let's just round it up to 1,700.
Okay. You okay with that, Gary and Jackie?
Jackie? Yep. Okay. Minor hockey. So Lori, can you give us just the Coles Notes version on how this works for minor hockey?
So basically, we would just credit their ice rental. They're one of our biggest revenue generating uses for the arena. They'll book any ice time they can get. So I think this really helps them out. And with the way COVID was, thank God they were able to carry on with their hockey program to get the kids on the ice. They did a great job.
Good. Okay, then I'm supportive of the full amount.
For
Jackie?
Sure, me too. Yep.
Okay. Ski club, McPherson room and equipment rental. And that's again, they may need to bump up for numbers. So any thoughts on that, Lori?
Yeah, probably should bump it up.
Do we bump it up $100 or?
Sure.
Okay, so 1350. Jackie, you okay with that?
Oh yeah.
Okay. And then the last one, Wild Site, delivering educational programs and workshops. This is similar to the other programs where they get kids out and educate them on the wildlife and the flowers and that sort of thing. Is that not correct?
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, seems good.
And they're actually asking for a cash payment to go towards that.
Okay, so that still at the full amount leaves us $800 or $7,500 in the kitty for the rest of the year. So I'm supportive of that $2,000, Jackie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so any other comments? I think that's the full amount of requests that we have at this point, is it not?
It is, yes, it is. There was one late one, but we will deal with that separately, and I'll bring that to council for approval.
All right.
Yep. So that's probably another couple thousand.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. That still leaves us, because throughout the year we'll get the odd little thing that will come in.
Yep.
And we still have a bit of funds there to deal with that. So I'm supportive of the amount that we've got, and I think we've done everything that we need to do today. Any other comments? Jackie, you have anything else?
No.
Okay. So I'm going to ask for adjournment or termination of the meeting. Jackie, you want to make that move?
Absolutely.
Okay, and I'll second that. So we're going to terminate the meeting. Thanks for your time.
Technically, you know, it's okay. You did make the resolution. Technically, you have to make a resolution, but we'll put that in there for you. Yeah,
okay,
we'll do that. Approve all these.
Sure.
Okay, so Jackie's going to make the resolution. I'll second it to
As on the
approve all of
screen?
these. Yep. Okay.
Sounds
Perfect.
And now we'll terminate. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
take
Thank you,
care.
guys.
Bye.
Have a nice
Bye-bye.
evening.
All right.
You
Take
too.
care. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.